All right, let's talk about something incredibly important, something that often gets misunderstood. We're going to be exploring what's known as moral trauma. Now, this isn't a physical wound, it's a wound to the conscience. And understanding it, really understanding it, is the first step toward healing. So let's dive in.
Think about this for a second. This idea is really the foundation for everything we're going to talk about today. It's the core belief that deep down, human beings are fundamentally creative, not destructive. We have this innate drive inside us to foster life, not to end it.
So, in this first part, we're really going to unpack what that means. What is this core identity that we all share? And why does it create such a powerful psychological wall against violence? You know, we hear a lot about fight or flight, right? That basic instinct for self-preservation. But this goes deeper. It's not just about saving our own skin, it's a drive to preserve life itself. It suggests we are fundamentally wired to be builders, gardeners, connectors. That's our natural state. And because that's our wiring, the idea of killing becomes this profound taboo. It isn't just a rule someone made up or a matter of opinion. It's a deep psychological barrier that's just part of us. But what happens when that very core of our being is challenged, violently? And that leads us right here. This is where an outside force, something completely external, enters the picture and pushes a person directly against everything their conscience stands for. This is where things start to break. Just imagine a force, maybe an order or a draft, that doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't care about your moral compass or what you believe is right. It just shows up and tells you that the one thing you feel you absolutely must not do is now the one thing you must do. And just look at the words used here. An existential rupture. That is powerful. This isn't just stress. It's not a tough choice. It's described as a fundamental tearing of the self. A person is being forced to act so contrary to their own nature that they literally begin to split apart from the inside. This rupture, it leads to a truly impossible dilemma, a conflict that has no good outcome, and it threatens to tear a person's soul in two. And here it is, laid out in the starkest terms possible. It's a conflict you can't solve. To physically survive, you're told you have to kill. But to survive as yourself, to remain who you are, you have to refuse. Either path leads to a kind of death. One is physical, the other is spiritual. There's no right answer. The result of that internal war is this profound sense of alienation. The things your body is forced to do are so utterly disconnected from your conscience that you don't even recognize yourself anymore. It's like your own body has become a vehicle driven by someone else.
So this entire experience, the coercion, the impossible choice, the rupture, it leaves a deep, deep injury. But it's a very specific kind of wound.
So what do we call this? What's the name for this scar that isn't on your skin, but on your very conscience?
It's called moral trauma, and this is the absolute heart of the matter. The injury is a direct result of being forced to betray your own deepest values. It's a betrayal of the self, done under force, and the pain from that can echo for the rest of your life.
And the consequences are just devastating. The person who comes back is fundamentally changed. That peaceful, creative core we talked about in the very beginning feels like it's been violated, just stripped away by the trauma of being forced to act against it. But, and this is so important, this is not where the story has to end. The wound is incredibly deep, but it doesn't have to be a life sentence. There is a path back. There is a way to start healing.
Now, this might be the most crucial point of all. The journey to healing doesn't start with fighting back or trying to forget. It starts with something much quieter, much simpler. It begins with just recognizing the wound is there and accepting why it happened. This completely reframes the whole experience. That moral wound is not a sign of weakness. It's the exact opposite. Its very existence is proof that your humanity, that your conscience, is alive and well. You are wounded because you are a good person who was forced to do something that went against your nature. The pain is evidence that your morality survived. So the first steps on this path become a little clearer. 1. Acknowledge the wound without any shame. 2. Accept the reality that these actions weren't born from you, but from coercion. And finally, number 3, the hardest and most vital step. Give yourself permission to live again,
to return to that creative nature.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? It's the central challenge, not just for the person who's suffering, but for all of us who want to help them heal. How do we help someone find their way back to that person who builds and loves and continues life?
That question is so big, it really deserves its own focus. So in our next explainer, we're going to dive into exactly that, the specific, practical steps on the path to healing this wound. Thank you for joining us for this first part of a very important conversation.